Thanks for checking out this episode of the Screen Facts with Jason Davis podcast. Every Wednesday, my guest and I talk about a movie that we've enjoyed, and during the conversation, we throw in some fun trivia facts. Please like us at facebook.com/screenfacts, post your comments or questions or your favorite scenes from the movie. You can also tweet me at Jason Davis Voice or email screenfacts@yahoo.com. Joining me on the podcast this week, once again, my good friend Erik Reitz.
So happy to be here today.
It's great to have you once again, sir. You and I are going to discuss a classic sci-fi/action, almost horror film.
Awesome. It's a little bit of everything.
Yeah, and it holds up really, really well, all things considered.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we just watched it with my kids. They're, teenagers, 21 and 18. And if you can believe that.
It's amazing.
And they loved it. They thought it was awesome.
This was the first time they saw it?
Max had seen it before, but it was Ben's first time. It was not what he expected. Because, a lot of times the complaints of this younger generation is like they're used to these movies that the scenes are really fast. They jump from one thing to the other, which
ADD.
pisses me off. Yeah, which pisses me. I hate movies where the clips are only a couple seconds long.
Right.
And you don't get to see a scene develop,
Right.
which I think is what they really enjoyed about it, seeing some of these scenes.
Well, why don't we go ahead and say what the movie is first?
Oh, yeah. That might help.
The Terminator.
The Terminator.
Yeah.
Or for our Austrian friends, Das Terminator.
Okay, of course. Released October 26, 1984. So this movie was directed by James Cameron, but he's also one of the writers in addition to Gail Ann Hurd, who was his wife at the time.
They got married after he sold her the script. It's weird, too, because then they got divorced just a few years later.
Yeah.
And then,
he's not really good in the relationship department.
I don't think so, because then he did marry Linda Hamilton.
Eventually, yeah. Then they got divorced.
She was number 4.
Yeah, and then he ended up getting married to one of his actresses from Titanic, too.
Oh, really?
Yeah. The redhead,
gosh.
the girl that plays Old Lady Rose's granddaughter.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All
I
right.
can't remember the actress's name now.
No idea.
But yeah, so William Wisher Jr. also is credited for additional dialogue as far as the writing goes. The movie stars Arnold Schwarzenegger, Linda Hamilton, and Michael Biehn.
One of the other guys in the movie who played the other Terminator that we see briefly, he was also a weightlifter, bodybuilder. He and Arnie were like really good friends, and actually they had competed against each other.
I believe you're talking about Franco Columbo.
Franco Columbo.
Yes.
Yes, he discovered America.
No, I think you're confusing him with somebody else, but
And he, but he's Italian.
yeah.
He was actually like Arnold's best man when he married Shriver.
One other thing I wanted to mention about the credits for this movie, Gail Ann Hurd was also one of the producers of the movie, and you mentioned that James Cameron sold her the script.
Right.
He sold the initial draft for $1. This is another one of those great Hollywood stories of a guy really betting on himself.
Right, absolutely.
This was like his baby, his project, and he didn't want to let somebody else direct it. He wrote it, and he wanted to direct it, and the studio was against that initially.
Right. I mean, that's basically why he gave the script away, so that he could keep control.
Right.
I guess that's kind of like a Stallone kind of thing.
Yeah,
And
with Rocky.
Yeah, one of the things I thought was pretty cool when he was trying to pitch this, Lance Henriksen, they were friends. So apparently this small studio, Hemdale Pictures, got a copy of the script. This guy, John Day, was interested, so he called in Cameron. So the idea at that time, Cameron wanted to use Lance as the Terminator because he thought the Terminator should be something or somebody or whatever that could just blend into the regular population.
Right.
So he had Lance kind of dressed
as
up.
opposed to a gigantic bodybuilder guy.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So he had Lance, be just dressed up in like a ripped shirt and, jeans and big boots. Inside cigarette little boxes, they've got the foil paper. So he put that foil paper over his teeth. And then apparently he knocked the door in, and they did their pitch, and John loved it.
Okay. See, now I read that he never intended to have Lance be the star of the movie.
Right.
He just kind of used him as the pitch guy. I think he wanted to have a guy that looked like everybody else that kind of would blend in.
Yeah.
And originally they had considered O.J. Simpson
As the Terminator.
as the Terminator. Yeah, and ironically, they decided against O.J. because they thought he was too nice and wouldn't really sell as a killer.
Right. No, definitely not.
At that time, O.J. was known for like those Hertz commercials.
Right.
He wasn't known for double murder back then.
Right. Well, and now I also read, though, that Cameron, the idea of Arnie was brought to him, and he was not into the idea of
Arnie was actually suggested by the head of the film company, the film studio, Michael Medavoy.
When he was forced to meet with Arnold, he went in with the idea that, man, I'm going to pick a fight with this guy, and that way I can come back to the studio and just say, Schwarzenegger's not going to work out.
Yeah.
But he said he sat down with him, and he really liked what Arnold had to say about what the Terminator really should be. And, of course, now, to us, it only makes sense that the Terminator should be a huge, muscle-bound, scary machine.
Yeah, but you know what's funny is that in the second movie, which we're not going to get into too much now because you and I are going to do a podcast for T2 down the road a little bit.
Oh, we are?
I'd like to. I'd like to.
Okay.
Okay. Because, I figured it's definitely worth discussing Terminator 2.
I think, well, we'll talk more. I'll send you my contract and we can go over the particulars. I want no green M&Ms.
Very good. But yeah, originally some of the stuff that ended up in the second movie was supposed to be in this movie.
Oh, yeah.
But because they had no budget and no time, and special effects weren't what they became, later, they couldn't do a lot of the stuff, like the liquid metal and all that stuff.
Right. And those were things that he did want to do, or he thought about having, would it be great if two Terminators could fight in the liquid metal, like you say, but...
And I was going to say...
And it was only a $6 million budget.
Right, $6.4 million. The movie actually did pretty well, despite the fact that the studio really didn't promote it that well.
Which pissed off Arnold.
Yeah.
He still brings it up that, what the hell was wrong with Orion? They wouldn't put the movie out.
So it grossed $38.3 million domestically and a total of $78.3 million worldwide. So, for a little $6.4 million movie, they couldn't do a lot. They really had a...
Oh, yeah, they cut corners.
Yeah.
So while Arnold was filming Conan, the second one, he was being interviewed, and the interviewer asked him, well, do you have another project in the works? And Arnold's like, well, yeah, some shit little movie's coming up.
He literally said it that way?
Yeah.
Wow.
So can you believe it's like, and dude, at this point, your biggest thing is Conan the Barbarian.
Yeah.
Not that great.
Listen, nobody ever accused Arnold Schwarzenegger of not having confidence. The guy has always been a winner, So
sure.
He knew that he was bankable. That doesn't mean he should be an asshole. But,
exactly.
But the beginning of production for this movie was actually postponed for 9 months because Arnold was committed to Conan the Destroyer, the sequel.
Yeah.
And James Cameron wanted to work, but he didn't have time to do a whole other movie.
Right.
So instead, he wrote something. And what he ended up writing was Aliens.
Yeah.
The sequel to Alien.
Now, I also read that he had done Rambo, too.
I'm not sure of the exact timeline, but yes, James Cameron did write the screenplay with Sylvester Stallone for First Blood Part 2.
While we're talking about writers, the movie now, not in the theater release, but now if you rent or whatever, you'll see at the beginning there's special credits given to Harlan Ellison. And Harlan Ellison, for any sci-fi buff, he's like a huge creative force. He did do some writing in a little show called The Twilight Zone.
Oh, okay.
He also wrote some Star Trek episodes.
Okay.
And then I think it was the main writer or creator of The Outer Limits.
Okay.
Cameron supposedly was interviewed and had said that, oh yeah, I got this idea. There's different stories. He got the idea from Terminator from like a nightmare he had.
Okay.
That's one thing he said.
Right.
But then apparently he's also said, yeah, I stole some shit from The Outer Limits.
Wow. So he actually admitted to lifting a concept.
According to this writer. And Harlan, he sued the studio and everything. That's why those credits appear.
You could be inspired by something and then take it to a whole new level.
Right.
And this is a perfect opportunity for me to make a reference to Kiss. Because, Kiss wasn't the first rock act to put makeup on.
Absolutely.
There were the New York Dolls, there was Alice Cooper, but they were very different. Kiss took what they did to a whole different level. And I think if there's any influence of this stuff from Outer Limits on the Terminator, it's probably like maybe the genesis of what became, and no pun intended, what became Cameron's vision.
I just figure you have to go into Ellison a little bit.
Yeah, no, I think, it's cool certainly to talk about him. But Cameron has proven time and time again how creative and brilliant he is. So to try to, discount him as just a thief of an idea, come on.
Yeah, basically Cameron just says that Ellison is a parasite that can kiss my ass.
Okay, fair enough.
There you go.
So let's get back to this movie. So Arnold Schwarzenegger, say what you will about Arnold Schwarzenegger as an actor. He's not a guy that's going to compete with a De Niro or a Pacino. He's not that kind of an actor. But one of the things I read that I was very impressed by was that he worked with guns every day for a month to prepare for this. The first 2 weeks of filming, he practiced weapons stripping and reassembly blindfolded because he wanted everything to be kind of automatic. Yeah. Like a machine, because the Terminator shouldn't have to think. He shouldn't have to look at what he's doing when he's loading a weapon or anything like that. And then he also worked at a shooting range practicing so that he wouldn't blink when he was firing the gun, again, to look more machine-like.
Right.
Soldier of Fortune magazine complimented Schwarzenegger for how realistic he handled guns on screen, because most of the time, that magazine in particular thinks that when they show people handling guns, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, and he did look very natural with it, if we can say that about a machine.
Yeah.
And the way he was just very matter of fact. And, I think Arnold, yes, not a great actor at the time. I mean, he's gotten better. But, he just, the way he was able to just keep a very robotic machine type demeanor, if you can even use that word for robots, throughout the whole movie. I really liked when we hear, Sarah's answer machine. It says, "Hello, we're not home right now. Ha, you reached the machine, but leave a message because machines need love too." Like, no, they don't. And that's what's so cool about this movie. You just see that, no. Yeah. It feels no pity. It feels no remorse. It will not stop until she's dead. And you're like watching this movie and like, holy crap. I was, I think, 19 when I watched it. Yeah. And when Reese is ranting at the police station, staring at the camera and just screaming that, he will not die. He will not rest until she's dead. And you're like, oh my God, this is real. Yeah. And then
he's really good in the movie too.
Oh, he was
Michael
fantastic.
Biehn's fantastic.
You know who else they were considering for that part?
No.
Sting.
No way.
Which I think he might have been okay.
He did Dune a couple of years later, I think. Or was Dune before this?
I think so. I think Dune was later. Reese, I thought was really good. Linda, she's
Hamilton,
awesome. Yeah, she was great. She was like the perfect, looking, because she was like, the cute girl next door. She wasn't some kind of drop dead model.
The 80s hair is the best.
I loved her hair.
It's so cool.
I still like it. I liked it then.
It's kind of interesting how Reese has always been attracted to her from the photograph.
Yeah. And that leads to, for me, one of the best love scenes in any kind of movie. Yeah. Not just, because this wasn't just, a dopey love scene, just a gratuitous, titillating love scene. There was a real reason for it, and yes, we did get to see some boobage, but
you would be disappointed if we didn't say boobage. So
especially when there was, but it was done well. It was such a powerful scene. Yeah, and when he says to her before they actually get busy, when he says to her, "Sarah, I traveled across time for you. Yeah, I loved you. I've always loved you." Yeah. It's like, oh my God, I think even I would have sex with him at that point, Or even like Elmer Fudd could say that to Mila Kunis and he'd get lucky. Plus, he's a good looking guy, so it helps out. But there was a little foreshadowing because, earlier on, she's asking, well, why don't you tell me a little bit about my son? And he says, well, he's about my height. I'm like, okay.
Strangely, he looks like me, Sarah.
Yeah. But if we're talking a little foreshadowing, I think there's some really fun stuff in there, too. Early in the movie, when Arnold is hunting down, I guess, the first Sarah Connor, he runs over a toy truck.
Yes.
How awesome is that?
Very cool.
I love that, because then he gets run over by a real truck later on.
Yeah, and from what I read, it's the same model truck.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
I thought another good foreshadowing is when Reese is dreaming. He's back in his own world fighting and blah, blah, blah. And then when he wakes up, and he startles himself, and you see how quickly he pumps the gun?
Yep. It's like
that was so cool.
Yeah, it's total
instinct. That detail was great. I thought another great detail was in his future dream, like when they come back from patrol and they walk in, when they sign the little sign-in sheet, the pencil's like, an inch or two long. I thought that was a great detail.
That's the thing about Cameron. He's the attention to detail. Yeah. Absolutely. So the laser sight on the 45 long slide was specially built by Laser Products Corporation. It's now called Surefire. Laser sighting was pretty much in its infancy when this movie was made. And what we saw on the gun that Arnold uses wasn't actually a complete assembly. Back then, the battery packs that they used to power the laser, they were like the size of a TV remote. And that would have looked really kind of, I guess, weird on the gun. Yeah. So they hid it and ran a wire under Arnold's sleeve.
There's the one scene when Arnold's buying all the guns. He asks for something with like a laser-sighted guided gun, and the owner's like,
So something plasma rifle,
yeah, right,
something
plasma
like that.
rifle with radar. And the guy's like, just
what
what's
you
in the
see.
store.
Just what you see.
Just what you see.
And that's an interesting thing too, the sign of the times. And maybe it was the case back in the 80s. I mean, I can't imagine now you walk into a gun shop and there's shells on the counter.
On the counter, right.
Yeah, I mean, that would be crazy.
The fact that then he just loads the gun, and the guy's like, oh, you can't do that in here. He's like, wrong. Blows him away.
Yeah. So what do you think of the special effects? I mean, keep in mind they had no budget. It's the mid 80s. I think they hold up pretty well.
I guess you could kind of pick apart when Arnie is taking his eye out.
The
It's
puppet,
like-
you mean?
Right. It's like, all right,
I
that's
thought-
a puppet head.
Let me tell you
But
something.
holy cow.
That's amazing to me to this day.
Yeah.
Because you got to remember like the creativity and the work that went into make that look as realistic as
yeah.
they possibly could. Now, again, nowadays they would just do it digitally and
Right.
and it would be pretty much seamless.
Yeah.
But for 1984, with no budget, to be able to make it convincingly look like Arnold is
Right.
cutting out his own eye is
Yeah.
amazing.
And again, my kids watching it were like, oh my God, it's so gross.
Yeah.
And because it was good enough. Yeah. The
You know
head
it's not
moved-
really his
The
head.
head moved a little,
Yeah,
robotically.
it's a little
whatever.
antiquated, but at the same time,
Yeah.
when you think about how much money they had,
Well, making that head probably was half the budget.
yeah, it probably was. It took him 6 months to create the puppet of Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Wow. Do you ever notice that after he takes the eye out and he puts the sunglasses on,
Yeah.
for a second, he checks his hair. Why? I think that was just
done
purely being tongue in cheek.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, maybe he wanted to make look presentable in some way,
Or
so he wouldn't he would blend in more or something.
Actually, what I'm just thinking now is he's a robot, everything in its place. So maybe that's all it was. He was
maybe.
just checking his hair that,
yeah, that's
yes,
true.
it's where it should be. But first time I noticed that, I'm like, he's checking himself out.
And that's the great thing about rewatching a movie like this too. You start to realize things that you may have sort of glossed over.
In the scene that preceded that, with the big car chase, when he slams into
The
the
wall,
wall,
yeah.
all the police show up, and it's kind of like, watching the movie the first time, it's like, oh my God, he's going to come out and kill all the cops. And I'm like, why would he leave?
He's there to kill Sarah.
Yeah, but he doesn't have qualms killing anybody around. I'm thinking he went back because he was damaged.
Oh, okay.
That's the only thing I can, reason. But when he was gone, it was like, oh, that's great. And then when we see the scene, why? So, I mean, I'm glad they did it that way.
Well, plus I think it makes sense for moving the story along too, because if he just
absolutely.
starts shooting up all the cops, then he's going to have a free shot at Sarah and Reese.
Yeah.
Well, we can't do a podcast about the Terminator without talking about the most iconic line, "I'll be back."
I read something that he wanted to say, I will be back.
Right, because he thought that was more robotic.
I think it should have been, I will be back.
It's interesting. That was like the only thing that they disagreed on, Schwarzenegger and Cameron, during the filming. He wanted to say, "I will be back." He thought it was more machine-like, and he thought it was actually more masculine, too, to say it that way for whatever reason.
Yeah, I can see that.
Cameron said, "Look, I don't tell you how to act. Don't tell me how to write."
Right, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, Cameron was swayed by Arnold, apparently, to have the Terminator be this big, imposing character as opposed to just someone that would blend in. In that scene, I really loved how, when Terminator's standing there at the counter and the cop's just blowing off.
Yeah,
you
she's
gotta come.
giving a statement. You can wait over there if you want.
Right.
He just kind of ignores him. And then he's assessing.
Right. He scans that structure and
Yep.
everything. You could just be like, and I remember watching the first time, it's like, oh, he's planning something.
Oh, yeah, something bad's going
You
down.
just know it. And I don't know if it would have been any better because I really, really liked when they would shoot his assessment, like the red screen with all the
Yeah, like all the
everything.
digital stuff.
It would have been neat if they did something there, but
Yeah.
not a big deal.
Probably wasn't in the budget, is my guess.
Maybe not. Yeah, it's like, all right, we can only do 3 computer screen
Yeah,
simulations.
seriously. I mean,
Yeah.
that effect is better used when he responds to the guy, "What do you got in there, a dead cat or something?" Like
Yeah.
that's kind of funny. Yeah, the different
Different response. Yeah,
yeah.
and then appropriate response.
fuck
Fuck
you,
you,
asshole.
asshole.
Yeah.
And right before he comes in, the other cop, they have Sarah, and he's saying, look, you're safe here.
30 cops here.
30 cops here. Really? And when if you start counting, as soon as Arnold comes in and kills that first guy, and you start counting down, and in college, I watched this in college too.
Does he actually kill 30 cops?
You count. We all started counting down. He comes through, smashes the first guy. 29, 28, and the whole crowd in the movie theater were counting down.
No way.
So anytime, I mean, there's a couple little nebulous because it's like, all right, he's shooting just through doors and stuff.
Right.
But if you count those, you come down to 30.
It's pretty amazing.
It's all,
like I said, Cameron's attention to detail, right?
Yeah, and I'm glad it worked that way.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I like that the building number of the gun store, 14329, is also the house number of the first Sarah Connor that he shoots.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's another thing to look for next time you watch the movie.
Neat. Also, they built another detail thing we're talking about, how with the skeleton they made, that thing weighed over 100 pounds.
Yeah,
and
because they actually use metal.
Yeah, and they were supposedly, it was going to be either a guy wearing it or they were going to try to almost make it like a marionette. Yeah. And it's like, you can't have a 100-pound marionette.
It's interesting because the scenes with the skeleton,
right?
There's certain scenes where it's full body and it's walking that are clearly animated in some way.
Clearly.
Right. And the animation is, when you look at it now, it looks a little cheesy, but it's still cool.
Yeah, because you're still like, oh my God, look how close he is.
And then there's scenes.
Shut the door, Sarah!
Yeah. And then there's scenes where you see the skeleton.
It's the actual.
And you could tell that it's a model because it's like maybe from the waist up.
Right.
Sort of thing. That's, again, nobody had done this kind of stuff.
But that robot, it had a limp once we finally see the whole thing.
Yeah,
it was come out of the wreckage.
Yeah, it was after he gets run over by the truck.
Right. But Cameron didn't like the way the puppet moved, so that's why they added the limp.
Oh, okay.
Which is like, all right, well, that makes sense, because, I mean, the thing was just kind of blown up and smashed.
Well,
and
they
everything.
show that the robot sort of has an Achilles tendon-like thing, and it's disconnected. That's why he's limping.
Oh, it's fantastic.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
Great stuff.
I thought it was brilliant that what takes out the Terminator?
Another machine.
Another machine.
Yeah.
You know? Yes, it had to be operated by a human. So then you can get into, oh, well, you know, machines always need a human around and all that.
That makes sense, though. That it's
Absolutely.
a human-activated machine that takes out the Terminator.
Yeah.
The final scene where the compactor crushes the Terminator and you see the eye just fade out. And there's all that smoke around it. Cigarette smoke used for that effect.
Cigarette smoke?
There was literally a guy blowing cigarette smoke into the scene.
That's brilliant.
Yeah. They did a lot of guerrilla filming on this movie, too, where they didn't have permits for certain shots, and they just kind of like, you know, got the cameras and went out there and got the shot that they needed. And there were a couple times that the cops came and said, hey, do you have permits? And one of the producers like, you know, we're almost done here. This is for my son's film school project.
No way, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
And by the way, that's why most of the film takes place at night, because they were able to be more discreet in filming than during the day. And if they didn't want to have to worry about going through a lot of red tape and all that to be able to film, by filming at night, they avoided that.
Oh.
Well, yeah, so that's why most of the movie takes place at night as well.
Oh, all right. Yeah. The something I read, and I'm so glad they didn't do this, I think the studio was saying the movie should end when he collapses after the truck explodes.
What?
Can you imagine?
No.
How can that end? You can't end it that way.
Yeah, that was one of the things that Cameron fought with the studio over.
Okay.
And that was
good. I'm glad he did.
That's probably why they didn't support the film as much as they probably would have if they determined how it ended.
Wow.
I mean, that would have been terrible.
It would have been terrible because when you're watching it, you're waiting for it to come out of the fire. That had to happen. I mean, you're expecting it because this Terminator has been shot and run over, has just been mangled, and he kept coming back. Yep. It's like he can't die that way.
If there's any argument for the studio's point of view of why they wanted it to end there, it's that, you know, maybe they felt like it was becoming ridiculous, you know, that he just doesn't die. But that's the whole point. You could blow him up in a truck, he gets up. Yeah. You could put a stick of dynamite or homemade dynamite or whatever into his chassis. He blows into pieces, but the pieces still come after you.
Right. Well, and that was
and a great thing about that scene, by the way.
Yeah.
Which is so cool. Another detail thing.
This is when they're in the
robot factory.
Right.
Reese puts the
pipe
bomb right into him, blows him up. Yeah. It ends up killing Reese. You know, Sarah goes over by Reese's body, and then all of a sudden, the torso of the Terminator sits up.
You're like, what?
Yeah.
No!
But the greatest thing about it is that the torso comes after Sarah, but crawls over Reese's dead body to get to her. So cool.
And,
so cool.
And they do it so well because as he's crawling over, everything that would be like human entrails and muscles and stuff are all just dragging behind the body. And it's like, oh my God, that's so great.
Very cool. Again, the details.
Brilliant details.
Did you know that there's sort of a connection to Pee-wee's Big Adventure in this movie?
Are you kidding me?
No, sir. We actually talked about it in that podcast. We did the Pee-wee's Big Adventure podcast.
Yeah.
The restaurant that Sarah works at is like right down the road from Pee-wee's house.
From the house.
Yeah, the location.
That's cool.
So there's a couple of other little details that I just wanted to talk about that happen in the movie that you can look for next time you watch it that maybe you weren't aware. So near the beginning of the movie, when Sarah receives the message on the answering machine, the guy breaking the date, the voice on the machine is James Cameron. Breaking the date, which I think is kind of cool.
All right, save some money there. Yeah. Didn't have to hire anybody.
Right, and then, we mentioned, of course, years later in real life, he marries Linda Hamilton, so it's kind of funny.
Yeah.
Another cool thing, and this is not in the movie, but it's an interesting little fact.
Okay.
The Terminator is the only character to be listed in the American Film Institute's 100 Heroes and Villains as both a villain for this movie and a hero for Terminator 2. Yeah.
Wow.
Al Pacino and Arnold Schwarzenegger are the only two actors to be on the list as playing a villain and a hero, but Pacino played two different characters.
Well, here, help me with this one, because I read that Henriksen, him and Bill Paxton. Who is Bill Paxton?
In this movie?
Yeah.
He was one of the punks in the beginning with the telescope.
Oh, okay. Those two are the only actors to be killed by a Terminator, a xenomorph, meaning alien, and a predator.
Wow. That's very cool.
Was that pretty nifty?
That's very cool.
So only two guys killed by all three. So that's an interesting career.
We talk about how good Michael Biehn is in this movie as Reese.
Yeah.
He almost didn't get the role. He came into his first audition with a Southern accent because he was working on trying to get a part for a stage production of Cat on a Hot Tin Roof.
His agent was like, what accent? He's from Nebraska.
Yeah. His agent talked to the producers and they got him another audition and then obviously he crushed it. But very interesting though. This movie would have been very different without him, because he's so good. A hydraulic arm was used when the Terminator punches through the windshield. They rehearsed it a couple of times, too, because they knew that Schwarzenegger's face was going to be in the shot as well. So they wanted to make sure they had the timing and everything down so it wouldn't look like a hydraulic arm, obviously.
Sure.
So the only time that Reese and the Terminator are in the same frame together is when he shoots him in Tech Noir. The club was actually built specifically for the movie, and they actually had to turn people away while they were filming who thought it was a real club. It's a jewelry store now, by the way, if you're wondering. The car chase scenes, they were shot at normal speed and then sped up slightly. So when you're watching the movie, if you look, you could kind of tell.
Sometimes you can kind of tell.
But it adds a little bit more intensity to those scenes.
Oh, no doubt.
Chases.
Well, I think, didn't they did some other stuff, like either they were like passing lights or like mixing lights to make it look like, they were going faster than they really were.
Yeah, they had other cars ride alongside of them out of frame with revolving lights.
Well, that would do it.
So, The Terminator. Still great.
Absolutely.
And honestly, I'm very excited to watch T2 again and discuss that with you.
Yeah, totally. I'm completely thrilled.
Coming soon.
All right.
Well, Eric, I appreciate you taking the time to come in.
I love it.
Well, thanks for listening. We appreciate it as always. And don't forget, if you want to comment, if you have any questions, if you have a favorite scene you want to tell us about, go to the Facebook page, facebook.com/screenfacts. And you can also tweet me at Jason Davis Voice. You can email screenfacts@yahoo.com. You can order Screenfacts merchandise on the podcast page of jasondavisvoice.com. One of the new things that we have available, if you want to check them out, are the new car magnets. They're about the size of a postcard, and it's a great way to show your support for the show and let other people know about it. Show theme music by audionautics.com, and thanks to our announcer, Kim McKay from kimsvoice.com.
We'll be back.
Screen Facts with Jason Davis is a production of Jason Davis VoiceOver. Visit jasondavisvoice.com if you need a voice for a commercial, narration, promo, internet video, e-learning or training program, and more. Click on the podcast page to get information about where you can download and listen to past episodes. Listen again next Wednesday for a new episode of Screen Facts with Jason Davis.